Shermichael, does law enforcement share blame?
I mean, I don't think so, and I think this is why it's critically important when you look at what Senator Lindsey Graham is attempting to pass on the Senate side with bipartisan support, that is the red flag laws, which, as the example your guest just mentioned about a recent shooter where you had teachers, you had family members who raised flags about this individual's behavior. If there's a database that exists that showcases each of these instances, then a gun seller, for example, could see if a red flag is raised as they do that immediate background check. I cannot sell this individual a gun. I think it's also critically important for us to invest more money into mental illness. Many of these families sort of see signs that their kids, particularly boys, have troubled issues, but they're not exactly sure, how do I deal with this? Where can I go to seek help for my son? So I think it's twofold, Armstrong. Figuring out a way via red flag law so that there's a database that tracks these issues, and number two, empowering families to find the help and seek the mental help that they need for their kids.
Ameshia, your seat is burning.
Red flag laws are being castigated as a one-size-fits-all. At the end of the day, red flag laws are heavily dependent on someone actually reporting a specific behavior. In the majority of cases, this does not happen. Loved ones do not report when there are issues with their children, when there are issues with other people that they care about. They're not reporting a lot of these suicidal thoughts or these actions where, in some cases, you have people who create lists of folks who they want to attack and things like that. They feel like they can handle that at home. They don't report them. Red flag laws exist in 17 states already. It has not been proven that they can stop or prevent any shootings at all. And we'd have to be careful when we talk about mental health, because we have enough people who are already feeling the brunt of a lot of the stigma around mental health issues. Factually, less than 20% of shootings across the country, mass shootings or otherwise, occur by the hands of somebody who has a mental illness.
The other thing we have to think about here is HIPAA, because what are you going to do, violate everybody's privacy to their own medical information? Because for me to know, a doctor can't share with somebody that I'm on psychiatric drugs. That's a violation of my fundamental right with my doctor-patient confidentiality.
And you know,
so how do you solve that?
It comes back to freedom of speech. If these killings continue in the manner that they are, because listen, they're not mentally ill. You read their manifesto, they know exactly what they're doing. This is what they want to do, and this is how they want to do it. They're not mentally ill. But if you...
we don't know that, though. I got to push back on that. I mean, we don't necessarily know.
Well, it's his own words. How can you deny the person's own words?
Well, that's just one example. We have no way, there's no quantifiable data that I have seen that's broken down whether or not each of the most recent mass shooters have suffered from a mental illness or not. And I don't think that we should take away from wanting to focus more on this and providing resources into this. A second thing, Ameshia mentioned some of the states that currently do have red flag laws that do exist. The Washington Post recently did a column on this, and what they did find was that these laws do work. When you quantify and look at the readily available statistical analysis that's out there, they do indeed work.
To stop people from committing suicide, not to stop people from actually committing mass shootings.
We don't know that yet.
What they have found is that they have been able, yes, we do know that. Like,
no,
NAMI, the National Association for Mental Illness, has actually released this information. They have been found to prevent people from committing suicide via gunshots. They have been proven to do that. They have not been found to do anything to reduce mass shootings at all.
But hold on a second.
Well,
they've reduced suicide by gunshots, but there's a million ways to commit suicide. So really, what's it doing? Well, right, there was just a bunch of stabbings in California. I think he killed 4 people and injured 2 or 6 others.
Bakery.
Right. So
and he lives to talk about it. That's the other tragedy in all this.
We can't keep scapegoating people who decide that they want to harm other people because of hate, because of racism, because their daddy got divorced from their mom over and over again, and blame it on the fact that they may have a mental illness. That is a problem.
How is
and
that
it is a problem that doesn't
Ameshia?
exist in urban communities when people get shot every day.
Well,
Nobody says that the black man shot somebody because he was mentally ill. But when it's a young white man, now we claim mental illness even though he has no medical record of mental illness.
He's just a bad person.
Let's just take it that he's a bad person who's doing bad things. Just because you or I wouldn't do it doesn't necessarily make another person who does it mentally ill.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. How are we scapegoating that fact? That's what you just said. How?
Because it creates a certain level of sympathy around, and now we need to fund this. And I do think we need to fund mental health and mental health therapies. However, we should not tie that to mass shooters, because there isn't anything within the data that shows us that this is the reason why they're committing these crimes. It's just not there.
Ameshia, that's actually not true. So for my Vox Media program, we were just in Montana about a month or 2 ago, And we talked to some psychologists on this idea of mass shootings as well as suicide. And what they did discover, Armstrong, is that if you do indeed increase funding for psychological treatment for individuals who are depressed or going through other family issues or personal issues, you do not only decrease the likelihood of the individual committing suicide, but you also decrease the likelihood of the individual utilizing that gun to commit horrors in public space, i.e. mass shootings. So again, Ameshia, I'm not sure where you're getting your data
because
from.
what you do in these types of conversations, you and others who also make those statements, is attack people like me and others who have grown up without fathers, who have grown up during separations, who have grown up in extreme circumstances and have been depressed or have had anxiety. And now all of a sudden, because those kids attend public schools throughout this country, you are saying that there should be a flag on them because they could potentially turn into killers later. That is not the case. And I'm sorry, I will not stand for anyone who pushes that narrative.
But that's based on your own personal experience.
But it's an important experience.
It's an experience that matters.
It
because
does
at the
matter.
end of the day, you are saying literally that children who have anxiety, young people who have depression issues, people who are going through these things every day have a higher potential to eventually wind up shooting people in mass. And it's just not true.
And on that note, I appreciate that, Ameshia. Experience matters in this country. And we cannot make excuse and use mental illness and more money as a reason to put a red flag on people who are bent on killing and taking lives. I mean, I have no sympathy for these killers. I just don't. My patience has run out. Innocent people's blood is still spilled as a result of us making excuses. But what do we need to do? What can we do to change it? Do we need to take a different look at freedom of speech where you go online and learn how to create a bomb or go out and commit mass shootings? Do we need to roll those back? How far are we willing to go with this? I'm Armstrong Williams. We'll be back.